Princess Myra of Zephyria stood at the edge of the grand balcony, her long silver hair flowing in the soft wind of the palace gardens. From here, she could see the glowing towers of her city and the distant skies that held her people's future. Zephyria was a world known for its beauty and wisdom, and Myra had been trained from a young age to lead with intelligence and care. She had studied politics, history, and strategy. She had learned the ways of diplomacy and leadership. Everything she had done was meant to prepare her for one moment, the alliance ceremony with the neighboring empire of Lorinth. The ceremony was meant to bring peace and prosperity. Myra had been promised to Prince Solon of Lorinth, a union that would secure Zephyria's safety for generations. For years, the two empires had planned this alliance. Myra had imagined the happiness of ruling beside someone she could trust. But now, as she looked toward the grand hall, a chill ran down her spine. Something felt wrong. The hall shimmered with golden light, and dignitaries from both empires filled the space. Myra walked slowly, her steps echoing softly on the marble floor. She carried herself with dignity, but inside, a storm of doubt had begun to grow. Her advisors had whispered warnings, but she had ignored them, trusting the promises of her allies. That trust would soon be broken. As the ceremony began, a messenger from Zephyria's intelligence division approached Myra. His face was pale, and his voice trembled as he spoke. "Princess Myra, you need to see this immediately." Myra followed him to a private chamber. The messenger handed her a data crystal. On it were intercepted communications between Lorinth's leaders. Myra's heart sank as she read the messages. The prince she had been promised was not planning peace. He had made secret deals with rival factions to weaken Zephyria from within. Every word on the crystal was proof of betrayal. Myra's hands shook as she set the crystal down. Her mind raced. How could they lie so easily? How could they pretend loyalty while planning her people's harm? She had studied diplomacy, but no lesson had prepared her for this. The palace walls seemed to close in as anger and sadness mixed in her chest. Her chief advisor, Lyra, stepped forward. "Princess, we must act carefully. If they discover you know, the consequences could be terrible. You cannot trust anyone outside your closest circle." Myra nodded, but inside, her determination grew. "I cannot let this go. Zephyria deserves better. I will not allow lies to control our future. We must find another way to protect our people." That night, Myra stood alone in her chambers, looking at the stars above. She thought about the future she had imagined. She had hoped for a life filled with trust, honor, and unity. Instead, betrayal had left her alone and uncertain. Yet beneath her sorrow, a spark of courage burned. Myra realized that leadership was not about blind trust. It was about wisdom, vigilance, and the courage to seek new paths when old ones fail. Myra began to consider options beyond her own world. The galaxy was vast, full of civilizations she barely knew. Could there be others who valued honesty and courage as much as she did? Could there be allies who would stand with her, not for power, but for justice? Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft knock at the door. It was Jaren, a young Zephyrian officer who had long admired Myra's strength. "Princess," he said quietly, "I know you are upset, but there are options. We can explore outside Zephyria. There are civilizations that might help us. We must be careful, but we are not without hope." Myra looked at him, a sense of relief and determination rising within her. "You are right, Jaren. Zephyria has survived because our people never give up. If others lie to us, we will find those who tell the truth. We will find those who fight with honor, not deceit." The next morning, Myra summoned her closest advisors. She revealed what she had discovered and shared her plan to seek new allies beyond Zephyria's stars. Some advisors were afraid, warning her of unknown dangers. But Myra's resolve was clear. "We cannot rely on those who betray us. We must look to those who can offer honesty and hope. Zephyria's future depends on courage, not fear. As the council meeting ended, Myra felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. She was about to step into the unknown, to seek allies she had never imagined. Yet for the first time since the betrayal, she felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps, somewhere among the stars, there were beings who valued honor, courage, and truth as much as she did. Myra knew the journey ahead would be difficult. She would face challenges, danger, and uncertainty. But she also knew that a leader must act, even when the path is unclear. With a steady heart and a mind full of purpose, Princess Myra of Zephyria prepared to leave the safety of her palace and venture into the galaxy. She was no longer just a princess betrayed by lies. She was a leader determined to find hope, honor, and a future worth fighting for. Princess Myra traveled through the stars in her sleek silver starship. The betrayal of Lorinth still weighed heavily on her heart, but her mind focused on the future. She had decided that Zephyria could not rely on those who lied. She needed allies who valued honesty, courage, and hope. Somewhere in the galaxy, such beings must exist. Her star charts led her to a distant planet called Earth. It was small, blue, and green, surrounded by white clouds that shimmered in the sunlight. Myra had heard little of humans, only that they were young in the ways of interstellar diplomacy. Yet something about them called to her. Perhaps they were simple, but sometimes simplicity held strength. Myra sent a careful message through the galaxy, addressed to Earth's leaders. She introduced herself, speaking of Zephyria and the betrayal that had left her people vulnerable. She asked for guidance, friendship, and caution. For days, she waited as her message traveled across light years. Finally, a response arrived. Commander Rohan, a human diplomat known for wisdom and fairness, greeted her. His message was calm and honest, without pretension or grand promises. He spoke of humanity's hope for peace, their belief in fairness, and the willingness to help those who fought for justice. Myra studied his words carefully. She had not expected such honesty from a species so distant. Over the following weeks, Myra and Rohan exchanged messages regularly. Myra explained the situation on Zephyria, the betrayal, the danger, and her determination to protect her people. Rohan responded with practical advice. He explained how humans solved conflicts, how they valued trust, and how courage often mattered more than power. Myra felt a spark of hope she had not felt in months. One evening, Myra communicated with Rohan directly through a secure holographic link. The human appeared as a tall figure with calm eyes and a steady voice. "Princess Myra," he said, "we do not claim to be perfect. We make mistakes. But we fight for what is right. If your people wish for guidance or friendship, we offer it. You will not find lies here." Myra felt a sense of relief. "Commander Rohan," she replied, "it is difficult to trust after betrayal. But your words are different. I sense honesty. I see courage. Perhaps humans are not like other civilizations I have known." Rohan smiled. "Actions speak louder than words, princess. We are ready to show you. Trust must be earned, and we will earn yours." Myra studied the stars outside her ship. The journey had just begun. She knew that reaching Earth would not be simple. Many dangers awaited her, and the Lorinth traders might try to stop her before she could find allies. Yet she felt a new determination. Humanity had offered something she had not seen in a long time: hope. Her advisors were wary. Lyra, the chief advisor, warned, "Princess, humans are young. Their experience in galactic politics is limited. You must be careful. Zephyria's enemies could attack at any moment." Myra nodded but felt confident. "I understand the risks, Lyra. But we cannot remain trapped by fear. We must seek allies who stand for truth and courage. If humans are as honest as they seem, they may be the help we need." Over the next few days, Myra studied Earth from orbit. She observed cities full of lights, rivers winding through green lands, and people moving with purpose. There was no empire controlling all, no single ruler imposing laws. Yet there was order, cooperation, and a strange energy of life that felt strong and resilient. Myra realized that perhaps this was the strength she had been seeking. Rohan arranged a meeting for Myra to visit Earth safely. Special ships were prepared to guide her through the atmosphere, ensuring her arrival would be unnoticed by those who wished her harm. Myra felt nervous. Meeting humans in person would be very different from exchanging messages. Yet her courage outweighed her fear. When she finally landed on Earth, Myra was struck by its beauty. The sky was a deep blue, the air fresh and crisp. She stepped from her starship and met Rohan in person. He bowed respectfully, a gesture of honor she had not expected. "Welcome to Earth, Princess Myra," he said warmly. "We hope you find what you seek here." Myra smiled, feeling a connection she had never felt with other civilizations. "Thank you, Commander. I have traveled far and faced many dangers. But I feel that perhaps, here, we may find honesty, courage, and hope for Zephyria." As Myra explored Earth, she observed the humans' willingness to work together, to solve problems, and to protect one another. There was strength in their unity, courage in their actions, and integrity in their decisions. She began to understand why Rohan had offered guidance and friendship without pretense. These humans valued honor in ways few others did. For the first time since her betrayal, Myra felt optimism. Perhaps she had found the allies Zephyria needed. Perhaps humanity, in its simplicity and courage, could help her restore hope to her people. She knew the journey ahead would be difficult, but for the first time, she believed that a brighter future was possible. Myra looked at Earth's stars above and whispered to herself, "If humanity stands for truth and honor, then perhaps together we can build a future no betrayal can destroy." And with that thought, she began preparing to take the next steps that would change not only her life but the future of Zephyria forever. Princess Myra left Earth with a new determination. She had learned that humans were courageous, honest, and full of hope. She knew they could help Zephyria rebuild trust and security. But the journey back to her starship would not be easy. Zephyria's enemies had discovered that she was seeking new allies, and they would stop at nothing to prevent her from returning safely. As Myra piloted her ship through the asteroid belt surrounding Earth, alarms suddenly blared. Red warning lights flashed across the control panels. Multiple hostiles approaching, her ship's AI warned. Myra's heart raced. She had expected danger, but seeing it so close made the risk real. Myra quickly activated the ship's defense shields. Bright energy barriers glowed around the vessel, deflecting the first wave of attacks. She maneuvered carefully, weaving between asteroids and using their mass as cover. The attackers were fast and relentless, but Myra's skill and focus kept her ahead. She realized that relying only on shields would not be enough, she needed strategy. Her mind raced. She remembered the lessons from her training on Zephyria. Leadership was not just about courage, it was about thinking, planning, and acting wisely under pressure. Myra used the ship's sensors to track the attackers' patterns. She noticed that they were predictable, following similar paths in each attack. Using this knowledge, she led them into a narrow asteroid field. One by one, their ships collided with rocks or were forced to retreat. Myra had survived the first wave. But she knew more danger lay ahead. The attackers were only scouts. The main force would come soon. Myra contacted Commander Rohan. "We have enemy ships ahead. I need advice," she said. Rohan responded calmly, "Princess Myra, trust your instincts. Use what you have learned from observation. Humans often succeed when they adapt quickly. Find the unexpected path. Think beyond their patterns." Myra nodded. She understood what he meant. She could not fight them with strength alone. She had to be clever, unpredictable, and bold. As the next wave approached, she activated a series of decoys from her ship. Holographic copies of her starship appeared, confusing the attackers. While they focused on the decoys, Myra piloted the real ship through a hidden canyon of asteroids. The attackers fired their weapons blindly, hitting only empty space. Myra's heart pounded, but she remained focused. She had learned that fear could be dangerous, but courage combined with strategy could turn the tide. Slowly, the enemy ships began to retreat, unable to predict her movements. After several hours, Myra finally emerged from the asteroid belt. She breathed a sigh of relief. The danger was not over, but she had survived the first real test of her journey. For the first time, she felt the true meaning of human courage and ingenuity. They had taught her that cleverness, quick thinking, and teamwork could overcome even overwhelming odds. As she continued toward Zephyria, Myra reflected on what she had learned. Humans were not the strongest or most advanced in technology, but they had something rare: resourcefulness and determination. She realized that these qualities were just as important as power or skill. Zephyria could benefit greatly from forming an alliance with a species like this. During the journey, Myra also faced smaller challenges. Meteor showers tested her navigation skills, and cosmic storms forced her to adjust her path multiple times. Each time, she relied on observation, patience, and quick decision-making. Her respect for humans grew with every successful maneuver, knowing that they faced dangers on their own planet daily and still survived with courage and creativity. One evening, Myra paused to look out at the stars. The darkness of space stretched endlessly, but she felt no fear. She understood that leadership required facing unknowns with confidence and hope. Her people were counting on her. She could not fail. Her thoughts returned to Zephyria. She knew that if she succeeded in reaching them safely, she could begin building the alliance she had envisioned. Humanity had already shown her that honesty, courage, and loyalty were possible in the galaxy. Now it was up to her to bring those qualities to her own people and to protect Zephyria from further betrayal. Finally, Myra approached Zephyria's outer orbit. The planet shimmered beneath her, peaceful and radiant. She knew the real challenge had only just begun. Protecting her people from those who had betrayed them would require courage, intelligence, and the wisdom she had gained on this journey. But she also knew that she was not alone. With the lessons she had learned from humans and the allies she hoped to find, she could face whatever awaited her. Princess Myra took a deep breath and prepared for landing. She felt a mixture of determination and hope. This journey had shown her that even in the darkest times, bravery and clever thinking could create a path forward. With these lessons in her heart, she was ready to take the next steps for Zephyria, steps that would bring her closer to allies who could offer honor, hope, and the possibility of a new beginning. Princess Myra finally stood on Earth, leaving her starship behind in a secure facility. The planet felt alive in a way she had never experienced before. The air was fresh, carrying the scent of forests and oceans. Cities shimmered in the distance, lights reflecting humanity's energy and resilience. She could feel the courage of these people, even without meeting them directly. Commander Rohan greeted her at the landing site. His tall frame and calm presence reassured her. "Princess Myra, welcome to Earth," he said. "We have prepared for your visit. Your safety is our first priority." Myra inclined her head politely. "Thank you, Commander. I have heard much about humanity, but seeing it firsthand is different. There is strength here, even in simplicity." Rohan smiled. "Strength comes in many forms, Princess. We may not have your technology, but we value fairness, loyalty, and courage above all. These are what guide our decisions." Myra's advisors had been cautious, warning her about the unknown dangers of human worlds. But standing here, Myra could feel the honesty in the Earth people's actions. There was no deception in the way they carried themselves. She realized immediately that this was different from any other civilization she had met. Over the next several days, Myra met with Earth leaders and diplomats. They welcomed her warmly, treating her not as a visitor to be feared, but as a partner to be respected. Myra observed meetings where decisions were made with careful discussion, listening to each voice, and weighing each argument. She admired the human's ability to balance strength and fairness, courage and patience. During one meeting, Myra presented Zephyria's situation. She explained the betrayal of Lorinth, the threat to her people, and the urgent need for allies who could offer not just technology, but honor and loyalty. The humans listened carefully. They asked questions, seeking understanding, and then offered practical solutions. They did not promise miracles or act superior. Instead, they demonstrated thoughtfulness and honesty. Commander Rohan spoke quietly but firmly. Princess Myra, we cannot control the actions of your enemies, but we can offer guidance, support, and strategy. We will act with honor and courage to help Zephyria, if you lead your people with the same values. Myra felt a deep sense of respect. No other civilization had offered her such clarity. She realized that human strength was not measured in weapons or ships, but in their principles. They believed in honor, in keeping promises, and in protecting the weak. These were the qualities she wanted for Zephyria's future. As the days passed, Myra also learned more about human culture. She saw communities working together to solve problems, families supporting each other, and leaders taking responsibility for their actions. She began to understand why humans were capable of courage even in the face of danger. They acted not out of fear or desire for power, but from a sense of duty, loyalty, and hope. One evening, Myra walked with Rohan through a park near the city. The sun was setting, casting warm light across the landscape. Myra spoke softly. Commander, your people are remarkable. I see honesty and courage everywhere. It gives me hope that Zephyria can rebuild trust and honor. Rohan nodded. Princess Myra, hope is powerful. It can inspire action, unite people, and overcome betrayal. You have the wisdom to lead, and we will stand with you if you ask. Together, we can create a bond that is stronger than fear or deception. Myra thought about the alliance she could form. She had not only found guidance but also a sense of trust. Perhaps marriage between Zephyria and Earth could symbolize this union, a bond of honor, respect, and protection. It would not be based on politics alone, but on shared values and mutual commitment. The idea excited her. It was more than a strategic alliance. It was a promise that Zephyria and humanity could work together for a better future, defending truth and courage against betrayal. Myra realized that this partnership could set a new example for the galaxy, one where honor mattered more than power, and loyalty mattered more than fear. Over the next few weeks, Myra and Rohan planned the steps necessary to strengthen the alliance. They discussed strategies for Zephyria's defense, ways to educate her people about honor and courage, and methods to expose the betrayers from Lorinth. Every discussion reinforced Myra's belief that humans were different. Their principles aligned with hers, and she trusted them fully. By the time Myra prepared to return to Zephyria, she was not just a princess seeking help. She was a leader with a clear vision, armed with allies who embodied the values she cherished. Humanity had offered her guidance, respect, and hope, qualities that no other civilization had provided. As Myra boarded her starship, she looked back at Earth. A new journey awaited her, the return to Zephyria to defend her people, restore trust, and form an alliance that could change the galaxy. She felt confident and ready. With humans at her side, she knew that honor, courage, and hope could guide her people to a brighter future. Princess Myra returned to Zephyria with a renewed sense of purpose. The lessons she had learned on Earth about honesty, courage, and honor filled her mind. She was determined to use them to protect her people and confront the betrayal that had endangered her world. But danger had not waited for her. News arrived that the enemies from Lorinth were preparing an attack. They were angry that Myra had sought allies beyond their empire. Myra called her advisors and loyal leaders to the palace. Our enemies believe we are weak because they betrayed us, she said firmly. They do not know that we have allies who fight with courage and honesty. We will not allow them to destroy Zephyria. Prepare for battle, but remember this, we fight with honor, not fear. The Zephyrian soldiers trained tirelessly. Myra led them personally, demonstrating tactics she had learned from observing human strategies. She emphasized careful planning, teamwork, and the courage to face danger. The soldiers began to feel hope, inspired by their princess's confidence and wisdom. Commander Rohan and a team of human strategists arrived to assist. They brought advanced technology, but more importantly, they brought their experience in defending communities and working together under pressure. Myra observed their methods and saw how humans combined logic, intuition, and creativity to overcome obstacles. She realized that this approach was exactly what Zephyria needed. The first attack came at dawn. Lorenth's ships descended from the skies, firing energy beams and attempting to breach the planetary defenses. Myra and her allies coordinated quickly. Zephyrian shields absorbed the initial blasts, while humans guided fighter ships through clever maneuvers, drawing the enemy into traps. Myra directed the battle from a command center high above the city, issuing orders with calm determination. The human pilots showed remarkable bravery. They risked their ships to protect Zephyrian citizens, intercepting attacks and using unexpected strategies to outsmart the enemy. Myra felt admiration and gratitude. She had seen the stories of human courage, but witnessing it firsthand was far more powerful. Hours passed in tense action. Explosions lit the sky, but Myra remained focused. She communicated constantly with her advisors and the human team, adjusting strategies as the battle evolved. She noticed that the enemy was disorganized and overconfident, expecting Zephyria to fall quickly. Myra used this to her advantage. She directed a group of Zephyrian and human pilots to flank the enemy from both sides, cutting off their retreat and forcing them into a defensive position. Despite the danger, Myra did not panic. She had learned that fear could cloud judgment, but clear thinking and courage could turn the tide. Her leadership inspired her people to fight bravely, protecting their homes and families. Together with the humans, they were stronger than the enemy had anticipated. By evening, the enemy ships began to retreat. Myra had anticipated this and positioned Zephyrian forces to prevent pursuit. The attackers withdrew, leaving Zephyria intact. Myra breathed a sigh of relief but knew the battle was not over. The enemy could strike again, and vigilance would be necessary. After the fight, Myra visited the wounded soldiers. She spoke to each of them, offering comfort and encouragement. "Your bravery saved our people today," she said. "Remember that courage and honor guide us more than any weapon. We fight for each other, for truth, and for the future of Zephyria." The soldiers looked at her with admiration and respect, inspired by her leadership. That night, Myra and Rohan reviewed the events of the day. "Your people are strong, Princess," Rohan said. "They are learning to fight not just with weapons, but with honor and strategy. Together, we can ensure that Zephyria remains safe from betrayal." Myra nodded. "Humanity has shown me what true courage looks like. My people must see it as well. If we lead with honesty, fairness, and bravery, we can face any threat." The princess knew that the alliance with Earth was more than a simple partnership. It was a bond of values, courage, loyalty, and hope. These were qualities that could not be destroyed by enemies or lies. Myra realized that by combining the strength of her people with the wisdom of humans, Zephyria could become a model of honor in the galaxy. As she looked out over the city, Myra felt a renewed sense of determination. The battle had tested them, but it had also united them. Zephyria was not alone. Humans had shown that honesty and courage could overcome betrayal. Myra understood that this was only the beginning of a new era, an era where trust, strength, and hope would guide her people to a brighter future. Princess Myra smiled, knowing that together with humanity, she could defend her world and restore honor to Zephyria. She was ready for whatever challenges lay ahead, confident that courage and unity would always triumph over deceit and fear. Princess Myra stood on the command balcony of Zephyria's palace, watching the horizon where enemy ships had gathered once more. The betrayal of Lorinth had not ended, and their forces were stronger than ever. Yet Myra felt no fear. She had learned courage, strategy, and leadership from her people and from humans. Now it was time to put all she had learned into action. Commander Rohan and the human team worked closely with Zephyrian officers to prepare a coordinated counterattack. "Princess Myra," Rohan said, "the enemy is strong, but their arrogance is their weakness. They underestimate the power of courage combined with strategy. If we act carefully and decisively, we can turn the tide." Myra nodded. "We will not fight out of anger or fear. We fight for our people, for honor, and for hope. Let every action reflect these values." The Zephyrian forces gathered in the sky above the capital, their ships gleaming under the light of their sun. Human pilots took positions beside them, coordinating maneuvers that combined both Zephyrian speed and human tactical ingenuity. Myra could see the determination in every pilot's eyes. They were ready to defend not only a planet but also the principles they believed in. As the enemy ships approached, Myra's strategy became clear. Instead of waiting for a frontal attack, she divided her forces into smaller groups to surround the enemy. Each group had clear objectives, and every pilot understood their role. Myra had learned from humans that clear communication and flexibility were as important as strength. The battle began with a sudden clash. Energy beams streaked across the sky, illuminating the battlefield. Zephyrian ships dodged and weaved, while human pilots used unexpected maneuvers to outsmart the attackers. Myra remained calm, directing her forces and adjusting the plan as the enemy reacted. She noticed that Lorinth's soldiers were growing frustrated and disorganized. Their confidence was shaking under the pressure of coordinated, intelligent action. Myra made a bold decision. She led a small squadron into the heart of the enemy formation, targeting key command ships. The move was risky, but it was necessary to destabilize the attackers. The humans accompanied her, demonstrating precise teamwork and bravery that inspired the Zephyrian pilots. The enemy's command ships were destroyed, causing confusion among their remaining forces. Many began to retreat, while others hesitated, unsure of how to respond. Myra seized the moment, directing her forces to cut off escape routes and secure victory. Her leadership, combined with the humans' ingenuity, turned the battle completely in Zephyria's favor. Once the enemy ships had fled, Myra instructed her pilots to secure the planet and assist citizens affected by the attacks. She emphasized that victory was not just about defeating the enemy but also about protecting their people and rebuilding trust. The Zephyrians worked tirelessly, guided by their princess and inspired by human examples of courage and honor. Later, Myra met with her advisors and Rohan in the palace council chamber. "Today we faced our greatest challenge," she said. "But our courage, intelligence, and unity overcame it. Zephyria is safe because we acted with honor, not only with weapons but with strategy, loyalty, and hope." Rohan smiled. "Princess Myra, your leadership has inspired not only your people but also us. Humans have always believed that courage and honesty can overcome any challenge. Today, we saw it in action on a galactic scale." Myra realized that the lessons of this battle extended beyond military strategy. She had learned that true leadership involved trust, collaboration, and the willingness to face danger for the greater good. By combining Zephyrian skill with human ingenuity, they had achieved something neither could accomplish alone. In the days following the battle, Zephyria began rebuilding and strengthening its defenses. Citizens celebrated their survival and the bravery of their leaders. Myra addressed her people, speaking of unity, courage, and the importance of honoring promises. "We faced betrayal and danger, yet we stood together," she said. "This victory shows what can be achieved when honesty, courage, and hope guide our actions. Zephyria will never again be a place where lies rule or betrayal destroys our future. Myra also reflected on the alliance with humanity. Their partnership had not only provided strength but also a model of values she wanted for her world. She understood that true leadership involved not only power but the ability to inspire loyalty, honesty, and courage in others. As Myra looked at the stars above Zephyria, she felt a sense of hope and purpose. The enemy had been defeated, the people were united, and the alliance with humans promised a future built on trust and honor. She knew challenges would continue to come, but for the first time, she felt confident that Zephyria could face anything. Princess Myra had transformed from a betrayed princess into a leader who commanded respect through wisdom, courage, and integrity. She had learned that hope, honor, and unity were more powerful than any weapon. With humanity by her side, she was ready to build a future where betrayal could not destroy what courage and loyalty had built. The turning point had come, not just in battle but in the hearts of the people. Zephyria now stood stronger, wiser, and ready to embrace a new era of honor, guided by Princess Myra and the example of humanity. Princess Myra stood on the balcony of Zephyria's palace, gazing at the stars that stretched endlessly above. The battles were over, the betrayers defeated, and her people were united. Zephyria had survived not only because of strength but because of courage, honor, and the guidance she had received from humanity. Now it was time to take the next step, an alliance that would ensure lasting peace and hope. Commander Rohan stood beside her. "Princess Myra," he said softly, "the people of Earth are ready to stand with Zephyria. They see your courage and the strength of your people. Together, we can build a future that honors both our worlds." Myra turned to him, a smile on her face. "Rohan, humanity has shown me what true loyalty and courage mean. It is not just strength in battle, but integrity, fairness, and hope that guide us. I believe our civilizations can achieve something greater together." The decision had been made, the alliance would be solidified through marriage, not just as a union of two hearts, but as a symbol of trust, honor, and shared responsibility. The people of Zephyria and the representatives from Earth prepared for the ceremony, a celebration of courage, loyalty, and hope for the future. The palace was adorned with shimmering lights and flowers from Zephyria's gardens. Citizens gathered, wearing traditional attire, their faces filled with pride and anticipation. Humans and Zephyrians stood side by side, witnessing the joining of two civilizations. The ceremony represented more than personal commitment, it was a promise of cooperation, protection, and mutual respect. Myra walked gracefully down the aisle, her heart filled with a mixture of excitement and solemn responsibility. She had faced betrayal, danger, and uncertainty, yet here she was, confident that her people were safe and that this alliance could guide them toward a brighter future. Rohan waited at the center, his presence calm and reassuring. His eyes reflected respect and admiration, not just for Myra, but for her people and the courage they had shown. "Princess Myra," he said, "today we unite not only our hearts but our worlds. Together, we pledge to protect our people and build a future guided by honor, courage, and hope." Myra nodded, her voice steady. "Commander Rohan, we unite as leaders, as partners, and as representatives of our civilizations. Zephyria will honor this alliance, and together, we will ensure that courage, loyalty, and truth guide our actions." The ceremony continued with traditional rituals from both Zephyria and Earth, blending cultures to symbolize harmony and mutual respect. Music and celebrations filled the palace, a reminder that even after hardship, hope and joy could flourish. Children of Zephyria and Earth watched with curiosity and admiration, learning that unity and trust were stronger than fear or betrayal. After the ceremony, Myra addressed the gathered crowd. "People of Zephyria, friends from Earth, today is more than a celebration of our union. It is a promise that betrayal will not dictate our future. Courage, honor, and honesty will guide our decisions. Together, we can create a galaxy where trust is stronger than lies, and hope shines brighter than fear." The crowd cheered, their voices echoing across the palace grounds. Myra felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She had faced uncertainty, danger, and deception, yet she had emerged stronger. She had found allies who shared her values, and together, they had protected Zephyria and built a foundation for a brighter future. Rohan took her hand gently. "Princess Myra, your courage and wisdom have inspired not only your people but all of us. With this alliance, we have the chance to show the galaxy that honor and hope can unite worlds." Myra smiled, her eyes shining. "And together, we will ensure that future generations grow up in a world where honesty, loyalty, and courage are celebrated. Zephyria will thrive, guided by these values and the support of our new friends." In the following days, Myra and Rohan worked closely to strengthen the bond between their civilizations. Trade, education, and cultural exchanges flourished. Zephyrians learned from humans' resilience and cooperation, while humans admired Zephyria's wisdom and dedication. Together, they created a society where hope and honor guided every action. Myra reflected on the journey that had brought her here. She remembered the betrayal that had once left her heart heavy, the dangers she had faced traveling through the stars, and the lessons she had learned from humans. Each challenge had strengthened her, teaching her the importance of courage, wisdom, and loyalty. Now, as she looked at her people and the Earth representatives celebrating together, Myra felt a sense of pride and hope unlike anything she had ever known. Zephyria had been saved, not just by force, but by values that could withstand any threat. The marriage with Rohan was a symbol of that triumph, a reminder that honor, courage, and hope could unite even the most distant civilizations. Princess Myra and Commander Rohan stood side by side, looking toward the stars. "The galaxy is vast," Myra said softly, "but with courage, loyalty, and hope, we can reach it together. This is just the beginning of a future where betrayal cannot triumph, and trust will guide all our actions." Rohan nodded. "And together, we will show that even in the darkest times, honor and hope can light the way." Hand in hand, they faced the horizon, ready to lead Zephyria and humanity into a new era of unity, courage, and hope. Their story became a legend across the stars, a tale of a princess betrayed, a people united, and a civilization inspired by the values of honesty, loyalty, and love. The galaxy would remember this day not just as the union of two hearts, but as the dawn of a new era where courage and hope define the future. Princess Myra had found her true allies, and with them, she had secured a legacy of honor that would shine for generations to come.